Hey y'all, March 3rd, and I'm back with the daily message. I lost my voice for the past week, so I've been having to post my ones from last year. So let's read about accepting ourselves. It says, while driving one day, a woman's attention focused on the license plate of the car ahead. The license read, "Be who you are." How can I, she thought. I don't know who I am. Some of us may have felt confused when people encouraged us to be ourselves. How could we know ourselves or be who we are when for years many of us submerged ourselves in the needs of others? We do have a self. We're discovering more about ourselves daily. We're learning we're deserving of love, and we're learning to accept ourselves as we are for the present moment. To accept our feelings, thoughts, flaws, wants, needs, and desires. If our thoughts or feelings are confused, we accept that too. To be who we are means we accept our past, our history exactly as it is. To be ourselves means we are entitled to our opinions and our beliefs for the present moment, and those are subject to change. We accept our limitations and our strengths. To be who we are means we accept our physical selves as well as our mental, emotional, and spiritual selves. For now, being who we are in recovery means we take that acceptance one step further. We can appreciate ourselves and our history. Being who we are, loving and accepting ourselves, is not a limiting attitude. Accepting and loving ourselves is how we enable growth and change. So, the affirmation says, today, I will be who I am. If I am not yet certain who I am, I will affirm that I have the right to that exciting discovery. Mm. Great message for today and for myself, as losing my voice for the past week has enabled me to really get to know who I am and accept myself for who I am. And I have been for many years what people would call a conspiracy theorist. And now that everything is coming out in the media and the files, a lot of the things that I believed in are no longer conspiracies. A conspiracy is something that's not true. We have facts and evidence showing that the world is ran basically by an elite. I like to call them the powers that were, of satanic pedophiles who drink blood and do worse things. And they have this agenda to basically create this new world order and put in place these digital IDs and control everyone's food, money, water. The list goes on and on. And I believe that's why they're starting these wars and doing a lot of these things to further that agenda along. Now, those of us conspiracy theorists who have been speaking about this information for a long time are feeling really vindicated. And me as one of them. But during this past week of not being able to speak, I realized this is something I haven't been speaking up about. And it is the ones who have been shouting it from the rooftops for years are the ones that do need to continue to speak about it. But more than just speaking about it, what are we going to do about it? What can be done about it? So in my silence, I was getting messages that we as Americans of non-Jewish lineage need to come together and unite with a shared purpose. That's the message that I was getting, that we are lacking purpose. Spammer. We are lacking purpose as Americans, and that is done on purpose. They keep us heavily divided with the media and political party, religious views, all of it. And instead of fighting each other, we can all come together, at least on the grounds of what purpose. And something I've been kind of meditating on: what shared purpose can we all agree on? If you have any ideas, put in the comments. But the first thing I kind of thought about was save the children. Remember when that was going around? I think we all agreed that that would be a purpose we can all come together on, saving the children. And then how about demanding clean, poison-free foods, clean waters, renewable energy? Because we didn't come here to have all our resources taken from us, poisoned, and then sold back to us, and be required to pay to live. That was not our Creator's intention. So, thinking about that, things like community gardens and being able to help take care of your neighbors are the shared purposes we can unite on. And now, what had me thinking about this is I watched this video on YouTube while I didn't have a voice, by creator Tyler Oliveira, about the Jewish invasion. And I'm going to share it on here sometime so everyone else can watch and let me know what you think. But basically, over in like Lakewood, New Jersey area, there's some towns over there that have been invaded by the Jewish population, and they have been taking over their public school system and basically creating funding issues for the public school system, because all these Jewish men are on the boards, and then causing the schools to lose teachers and then shut down. This has already happened with two of their schools.
Excuse me, I have some things I'd like to say.
Then the Jewish community has bought those schools. The public schools are now, and turned them into private schools for their children and for only the Jewish community. Now, I have nothing personally against them or people doing that, but it's something we can look at. The Jewish people eat totally different foods than we do. They don't eat the same poisons we eat. They don't allow their kids to watch the same media that our kids take in. So the brain rot and the brainwashing. They're taught a totally different curriculum as well. And they stop and pray like 3 times a day, no matter what they're doing. And to me, just as an outsider looking at that, they're united on a shared purpose. Like, they are living how Americans should live in America. Now, what's interesting, how they've took over those schools and they're now private schools that only their kids can attend, but they still use the public transportation system, meaning our school buses. So our publicly funded buses are transporting their kids to private schools. So they're still using all the same systems and resources we have available. And they're doing this by opening a lot of nonprofits and things like that. So, why can't we do that? Why can't we unite on a purpose to save our children and future generations from all of this brainwashing, from all of the poisons? And if they are allowed to seclude themselves from our society using our system, couldn't we do the same? And interestingly enough, they have their own police force as well, which is kind of crazy. Outside of the regular police, they have their own little Jewish police forces. I believe there's like two separate police forces of them. And, they have their own grocery stores and everything. So, learning who I am and accepting myself and learning to use my voice to speak about these things, I'm wanting to connect with other like minded people and put a call out for our leaders in this space. Where are our, American geniuses? The people who are awakened enough to see through the illusions in the system and come up with ways to organize. That was the second message I received, that the first one, we need to unite with shared purpose. And then the second part we need to do is organize. Just how this Jewish community in the Lakewood, New Jersey area around there, how they're organizing, we can organize and do the same thing. And I'm just wondering, where are all my people at? So, with the part of today's message about accepting ourselves, I am accepting this about myself, that I may be one of those people who is supposed to use their voice and speak up about injustices in our society and try to come up with ways and ideas of things we can do as a people that will unite us and organize our intentions so that we're no longer being controlled. Because if we are not intentionally controlling our own beliefs, someone else is. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think of this message.